What's up, FM? How's it going, guys? All right, everyone, I want to talk about some lateral lunges for today's purposes on our Trainer Tip Tuesday. All right, so for our lateral lunges, okay? Now, particularly, we always go with a reverse. Sometimes we go with a walking lunge there, okay? But either way, with some lateral lunging action, it's going to target more on the inside of our thighs here, and obviously yes, get more on the bottom of that glute, and it will target our quad. Okay, now first things first with these lateral lunges. All right, you want to keep in mind anytime we do a lateral lunge, I'll start off without any weight and show you from the side view. Always want to make sure that in any type of lunge that we're performing, always making sure our heels stay, or our weight stays towards our heels. Okay, so when you take that step, ideally I would say you want to start with your feet probably shoulder width apart, and then you pick that leg up to take that step out to the side. You will naturally step out at your own gait, meaning your own natural step to that side. Now at this moment, I'm going to point out some things that are wrong right here. So if you can't see that in a camera view, you notice that when I stepped out, my leg went out just slightly past. They're not aligned here. My right foot is back. If I was a lunge here and I do this number, I'm going to feel a little bit more on my knee. I'm gonna feel a little bit more towards that back, but mainly that knee, because my alignment was not proper when I took a step out to that side. All right, now we can always be mindful about our gait or our step when we step it out to that side. You have to really look down at your feet and be like, okay, am I aligned there? I look aligned, okay, let me drop that down. Okay, that's just kind of like, takes too much thinking, too much guesswork, and you're not gonna really get that down until you just really coordinate it, you know, with your hand-eye coordination. That does involve a lot of thinking there with our lateral lunging. So to break it down, keep it simple with this. I would say the best way to knock out your lateral lunges would be with a wider stance like so. With or without the weight, I would start without. All right, so again, our feet are gonna be wider than shoulder width, wider than hip width. Now, when I'm in this stance though, okay, what I'm doing is make sure my feet are firmly planted and I'm moving anywhere. Now, always just soft bend those knees. When you take that lunge to the right side, think about leaning to that right, okay, yes. Start shifting your body weight towards that right. But once you do, you wanna think about pushing your butt at an angle, 45-degree, lead it through that shoulder, through that heel, as you sit it down. As you are in this position right here, this leg's about 90 degrees and my weight's towards my heels. I'm coming up as I push up. Yes, on this lead leg here, I'm gonna feel, all right, this back glute and this quad work, but on this opposite leg that's supporting, you're gonna feel that stretch right on the inside, right underneath the back of that hamstring, nice and tall. Other side again, pushing our way back towards those heels, all right? I'd always say that wider stance is gonna help out with those lateral lunges, as it does really target again, all right, the inner thigh and hamstring that ties into that glute, okay? So when you think about the step out, when you're pushing off, I had a great question from a client that asked, hey, whenever we're doing these, like, where do I push? Where should I focus on initiating that force to produce, to come back up nice and tall, you know, because can't you use like hips or back, things like sort? Yes, you can, you know, when you overcompensate some things. But to keep it all nice and simple for our lateral lunge technique, all right, I would say if you're starting with those steps and you take that out to that side, you're gonna be really mindful, straight to that side and dropping that weight back towards that heel. As you notice, the upper body will slightly fall forward, but I'm not rounding. As long as you're not rounding, you're not gonna hurt your back. The whole thing that works is as you push off the inside of that leg. So when I say the inside, when we get this stance here, you're pushing off to the inside of that toe and the inside of that heel as you push off, okay? Because when you're doing that, that's gonna initiate, all right, all of the glutes and quad and that lateral lunge. So even if we're holding a dumbbell, or whether it may be the double heading, the single heading, or even if you're holding with a single hand, if you're stationary still, you take that step out to that side or your wide stance, right? So checkpoint, let's start with the weight. I'm gonna start with down here. So feet wide and shoulder width apart, toes slightly out. I'm going to push my butt back towards the corner of the wall while leaning my weight towards that side, meaning my body weight, pushing off through that heel as I come up from that lateral lunge, working all that quad and again that inner thigh. I want to change up those hands. You can swap those hands in the middle of these lunges. Otherwise, ideally, you stand at the same side. Now, if we're holding up here, we want to make sure, even as we have that stance, you want to make sure that when you hit that lateral lunge, that when you're pushing back, you don't let this dumbbell pull you forward, like so, and doing this number, okay? That, yes, it will slightly work the legs there, but then it will start taking a lot of that pressure into that lower back, also the upper back. Let's put it this way. It's bad, right? Bad posture, bad form. The alignment was all off. It's one of the main things you always want to talk about or focus on whenever we're performing any type of exercises. We want to make sure that we have a proper alignment, okay? So always hips tucked in, shoulders aligned through the hips there. Our feet are aligned with each other there. Again, I'm gonna hold by the double head here, slightly sit in that ready position, okay? And then again, that lateral lean with the weight towards the heel, right here, you know, lower there, slightly come up. Now, if you notice sometimes, all right, you may let the toes come up on that lateral lunge there. You really sit down on that iso leg. Just make sure that when we're coming up, that we do put the toes back down. Again, keeping it flat back, keeping our core tight, shoulders back and down. Doesn't matter, fam, regardless, whether we're holding the dumbbell up or down, always keeping that proud posture, because even if I'm lateral here and I'm holding that dumbbell like so, I'm still gonna have my shoulders back as I'm sitting down. The thing is now though, with this dumbbell, I'm gonna make sure when I lean it down, that's gonna be right in the arches as I sit it down. That's how I know that my weight is centered and all the focus of that weight resistance is gonna be, again, in my quads, in the inner legs, and obviously those glutes. Okay, so not courtesy lunges, lateral lunges, all right? Checkpoints. If we're taking that step, I would advise that if you do, you gotta be mindful when you step it out. We're landing nice and even with that opposite heel. Eyes up, chest up, weight towards the heel, push back at a 45-degree angle, weight in that heel. If we're not taking that step out, we want to set those feet out just slightly wider. The shoulder width, I would say the wider the better. As you hit that lunge backwards, eyes hit that leg. Again, inside that quad, keep your eyes up, chest up, don't fall forward. Even if we hold that dumbbell, you just don't want that dumbbell to make you collapse. As far as with the upper body, by collapsing, I mean rounding, okay? So, lateral lunges. If you have like thoughts like, man, how do I get rid of some of that inner fat, inner thigh, or how do I tighten that up? Lateral lunges, fam, all right? So I hope that helps you out. That Trainer Tip Tuesday. Remember, eyes up, chest up, always, shoulders back, belly button to that spine, tucking that core, all right? But the cues on this lateral lunge, when you lean into that side, shift that weight towards that heel, 45-degree angle, eyes, hips squared towards that front as you knock out those lateral lunges. All right, fam, have fun with this one, knock it out. Let me know what else you have on your mind as far as like, what should we cover, right? Because again, fam, I like to give back, like to help educate you guys and keep you safe while you are working out, right? Let's rock and roll.